Hi everyone, great to see you all back here. Last week I promised you a video on how to make mini Christmas fruitcakes in a cupcake tin, so that's what I'm making today. These are the perfect size for your family if you find that there's only one or two people in your house that likes Christmas fruitcake. So I'm going to get started, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put all my dried fruit into my saucepan, and here I've got some currants, raisins and sultanas. Get them all in there. I'm also going to put in here some orange juice, orange zest, mixed peel, some glacé cherries. A Christmas cake just isn't a Christmas cake without cherries in it. Some dark brown sugar, butter, and some alcohol. And I'm using whiskey. You can use brandy, amaretto, or anything like that. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons. 2 good tablespoons. Just give that a little mix. And now I'm going to get this onto some heat. Bring the mixture to a slow boil until the butter has melted. Make sure to stir it occasionally as well. The butter is fully melted now, so we can remove this from the heat. My mixture is ready and I've let it cool for about half an hour. It's important that it cools down because we're going to be adding egg to this. Alright, so into here I'm going to add in some ground almonds, plain flour, mixed spice, and some almond slices. You can use chopped hazelnuts, chopped almonds, whichever you prefer. You can leave them out either if you don't like them. Give this a mix together. All the flour is mixed in. I've got 2 eggs here. Mix them up and add them in. And give them a good stir. Great, I'm happy with that now, so I'm just going to set this to one side. So this is what I'm using today. I'm using my standard cupcake tin and I'm putting paper liners in there. The main reason for the paper liners is that I'm not 100% confident that my mini Christmas cakes will stick in this tin. So that's the main reason for using the cupcake liners. What I like about the cupcake liners is when the cakes are baked, you can take the liners off and you get a nice edging from the cupcake liners on the side of your mini Christmas cake. I'm gonna fill these up now. And the best way to fill these is using an ice cream scoop or 2 dessert spoons. I'm gonna fill these up to about 3/4 of the way full. What I find with Christmas cakes, even if you use plain flour, they do rise a bit as well. What I do now is I just get a teaspoon and I flatten them a little and make a little dip in the center, just so that when they start baking, they get an even rise. And that's them ready. We're going to get these into the oven now for 25 to 30 minutes. These are fully baked now. I've just taken them out of the oven. This is the best time to give them their first feed. So what I do is I just get a skewer and I poke a couple of holes in them. And I'm going to feed them with some Irish whiskey. You can use brandy, rum, whatever you have in the house. Now you can either use a teaspoon, but for little cakes like this, I like to just brush the alcohol on them. I get asked lots of times about feeding cakes, how long and how often do you need to feed Christmas cakes. If you make a Christmas cake a few months in advance, I'd feed it every 2 weeks. Because it's 3 weeks until Christmas, I'm going to feed these each week. When these are cooled down, I'll remove the paper liners from them and just store them in some greaseproof paper. And when it comes to feeding them next week, I will feed them from the bottom. I just flip them over and then rotate them each week. Feeding them with the alcohol really does improve the flavour of the Christmas cake. That's all of them now. So I'm going to let them cool down completely, and then I will remove the paper liners for them, and usually I would store them in some greaseproof paper, just like this. So I pop them into a box with some greaseproof paper and cover it over, and then just take them out each week and feed them. And I rotate them. So next week when I feed these, I will just flip them upside down and feed them from the bottom. And then the following week, I will flip them over and do the other side. That's the best way to feed your Christmas cakes. Just to mention, decorating your Christmas cakes, Usually I would feed them for a couple of weeks, and 2 weeks before Christmas I'd give them their last feed, and then I would put marzipan on them, leave it for a week, and then I would add either royal icing or fondant icing, whichever you prefer. Now, some years I do the marzipan and the icing at the same time. It just depends how much time you have. All right, so I'm going to let these cool now completely, and I will decorate 3 or 4 of them just to give you an idea, and so you can see what they look like when they're decorated. So see you shortly. Here we have a few of my mini cakes that I've decorated, and I think you'll all agree that they look fantastic. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to get this look. The first thing I do is remove the paper cases from the cakes. If any of the fruit is sticking up, I just push it down gently. I like to fill any holes in the cake with a little marzipan, and if the cake is not very level, I like to level the top too with it. I'm using my own homemade marzipan, and I shared the recipe with you last week, but I will include a link to it in the comments down below. Brush the top of the cake with a little apricot jam, marmalade or honey, they'll all work. We want the marzipan to stick, so it's important to do that. I use a 2.5-inch fluted cutter. It's the perfect size for cupcakes. So cut out your marzipan and place it on top of your cake and just press it down gently. Before adding the fondant, brush the marzipan with a little water or whiskey, both will work. And now I use the same size cutter, 2.5-inch cutter, and I cut out a disc of white fondant. And I place that right on top of the marzipan, and I like to try and line the marzipan and the fondant one up. To complete the decoration, I like to use these Christmas themed cutters. I got these ones on Amazon and they're not that expensive, and you get lots of use out of them. You can use them on mince pies, decorate your Christmas cake, decorate chocolate biscuit cake, lots of different things. To finish off, I like to spray them with a little edible silver glitter if you have it. I think you'll all agree that they look really good. Let's cut into one so you can see what the inside is like. You can see all that lovely fruit in there, a nice layer of marzipan and fondant. Smell really good too, I can smell that whiskey. So there you have them, my mini Christmas fruitcakes made in my cupcake tins. I hope you try out the recipe, give them a go, and I really hope you enjoy them this Christmas. Happy baking everyone, enjoy.